portal is portaling, as we see.
The portal is portaling. Honestly, if we're just keeping it a buck, it's pay for play.
Yeah.
Because you're getting NIL. There are a small group that's getting NIL. You got people getting money that got 200 followers. That they don't have name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
If you don't invest that, if you don't know how to make that into 2.5 million, you're gonna be broke.
Yep.
Especially when you think you made that money and now your cousin, auntie, uncle, mom, dad, brother, sister want to cut. I don't do this, but this my girl.
Hey.
So if you know of any recruits,
See, portal is portaling, y'all.
if you know, because you know people.
A GM?
Yeah.
Coach Yo, hey, welcome to NILOSOPHY. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about, the ins and outs of NIL. Obviously, from a college coach's perspective, there's so many different conversations that goes into this topic, this landscape. But to get us started a little bit, just kind of tell us about, for our viewers who may not know you, even though everyone knows Coach Yo, just tell us a little bit about your college coaching journey.
Yeah. Well, I just started from the bottom, junior college. I started from the first floor and worked my way up, from junior college, and just continued to grind until I got my first shot of being a head coach at Jacksonville. And so I was there for 5 years and then won a lot, and then got the job at Ole Miss, another place that was at the bottom at the time. And now for back-to-back winning seasons, 4 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 Sweet 16s in 3 years. And so there's truly no ceilings. I've always been vision-oriented. I've always had a plan in mind of what I think success looks like, not only for me, but for young people. And when you marry the two, and you have people around that can help see that through, it puts us where we are now.
Yeah, 100%. And you see how well your kids play for you. You get your kids to play for you, get them to trust you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a big part, obviously, in y'all's success, but just seeing the dynamic, the player-coach relationship, I think that's something that's huge. And a lot of people long for in their collegiate career and picking their schools, because sometimes nowadays it's just kind of a business transaction, as we were talking about. But since we are here talking about business, let's get into it. So with NIL, the whole landscape beginning, what were your first thoughts when you were, because you were already at Ole Miss then, So when you saw that kind of happening, were there any concerns that you had? Was there a lot of excitement? Because I know that when it first started, it was kind of before the collectives, so it was more so just brand-based, individual-based. So what were your either thoughts, concerns, excitement around NIL when it first started?
Well, initially I was really, really excited because one thing women know how to do is enter spaces and dominate. And a lot of times women don't get what they deserve because they hadn't been given the opportunity. When I heard about name, image, and likeness, I said, wow, this is a space that women can show ADs, administrators, people that are new to the sport, how valuable women are and their presence.
Yeah, I think name, image, and likeness is one of the best things that's happened specifically for female athletes, female basketball players. There has always been this narrative, that we have to work 10 times as hard just to get the recognition that we deserved. We went through that whole thing, that COVID year with March Madness, the non-branding, and NIL was a platform to where it was like, here you go. This is what y'all deserve. This is a way to capitalize, if however you might want to do that, because I think everyone does it in different ways. But I think that was an opportunity for females to take full advantage of their name, image, and likeness, completely rebrand themselves, carry themselves as a brand, as well as dominate on the court. Because obviously everything else doesn't come without the performance in their respective sport, right?
Exactly. And it was just, I just knew that women would just take over in that space. And even when you look at commercials, deals, the movers and the shakers in the NIL space, the women are at the forefront. It's not even close. Look at what Flage is doing. Look at what you with Juju's everywhere. Like, I mean, you guys are killing it. I have someone on my team every week. She got a box coming in, Kennedy Todd Williams, and I'm like, you out here hustling. So like, women just understand how to get in those spaces.
I think that attests to how powerful women are in general, because being able, with everything happening so quickly, changing, lots of changes. Portal is portaling, as we see.
The portal is portaling.
And we'll get to that in a second. But just seeing how many changes happen on the fly. Again, being able to see so many women, like you mentioned, Flage, Paige, like Juju, that are capitalizing, taking full advantage of these opportunities. I think that, again, speaks to the empowerment of women being able to be like, no, this, you know, this is my brand. I'm going to take full control and take full power of my business and what I do and what I value. And you see that across the board. And I think that's so important, especially for coaches like you, to continue to instill that confidence in your players. What are some tactics that you have, if any, that to continue to instill confidence in your players while also knowing that they're dealing with a bunch of business things on the side as well?
Well, you know, right now you have to be able to balance. So I talk to them about decreasing external things that don't matter. Like, if you have a partner and you're not serious about them, don't even waste your time. Lock in on the things that are important to you right now, because you have all the time in the world to do the other stuff. I use a lot of life lessons in coaching. I had a player come up to me and wanted to talk to me about her rev share percentage. Most coaches would be in their feelings about that. The first thing I said to her was, I'm not sure what you're gonna ask for, and I'm not sure I can give it, but what I'm sure of is I'm gonna support it, because women don't know how to negotiate. And the fact that you came in my office to do that makes me proud, because that is very hard for women to do, to ask for what they think they're worth. Whether they are, that's up for debate or discussion or looking at the data, right? But the fact that she built the courage, she didn't send dad in there. She came in and said, Coach, I would like to talk about my rev share number. I was so impressed, I just gave her what she asked for.
There we go. I think that's so important for players to be able to feel like they can have a conversation with their coach about things like that. I mean, just that's the world we're in now. But you're right. Like, there's not a lot of women who I've found myself at times where I'm taking a step back. I'm like, Mark, can you go talk to so-and-so? Because I don't know how to. And I think that's what NIL has been able to do for me. Like, just allow me to build up the confidence to be able to have these conversations with CEOs, investors, it's very necessary. And again, it's teaching so much more outside of your sport. Like, it's life after basketball. These are conversations you're gonna have to have post-college, like when you're trying to get a job, when you gotta vouch for yourself and advocate for yourself. I think that's so important, again, for you to instill that kind of confidence in your players to be able to feel like they can have those conversations with you. Like, I go back to that player-coach relationship. That's super important. It's important, and a lot of players don't be able to have that.
No doubt. And I'm very transparent. Like, I talk to them. If I'm in a negotiating situation, I talk to them about that. If there's opportunities out there and things may get a little sticky, I talk to them about that. Like, most times, my players know what's going on with me. I never allow them to hear it from an outside source, because not only is it important for me to be transparent with them, it's important for me to teach them how to move in spaces. You're a brand. You have to move a certain way. You have to align yourself a certain way. All of these things are so important.
Absolutely. I know you mentioned just being able to have those conversations with your players emphasizing to them your brand.
Yeah.
Carry yourself as one. Here's
Yeah.
like some advice.
Mm-hmm.
Now with the portal, being as crazy as it
Yeah.
is, but that's just the space we're in right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
We'll take it.
Right.
What are conversations, what are specific conversations that you are trying to have, or that you kind of have your mindset on, that you're going to have with kids who are looking to come into your program and who are obviously going to ask about NIL, what that's like within your program? What are some things that you want to talk to them about and make it clear or make it adamant, like this is what it's going to be, or I can negotiate with you, like anything like that? Like talk to me about how that kind of goes.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. It's a perfect space for me because the first thing I ask is how much. Because I'm a business.
How much?
I'm a businesswoman, and if I can't afford it, I don't go in those stores.
Yeah.
But at certain stores I go in, I don't look at the price. I already know how much it costs. So I need the education. How much? And then I get to decide, because what athletes don't know is we have budgets.
Yeah.
There's not an unlimited pot of money for 90% of the schools. So when the young lady came to talk to me about what she wanted, I had to educate her on what my budget was and where she falls in that, and what her statistics say.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I was done, I said, so how much you think you should get? And it was amazing because it changed from this crazy number that someone that averages 20 and 10 should be asking for to more reasonable.
I'm so glad you said that, because the things that I have been seeing
it's
throughout,
crazy.
oh my gosh, what goes through your mind, right? I mean, you just spoke on it a little bit, but having players, and not just coming, you see it happening everywhere. What has gone, not wrong, but like what has been created within NIL to where players think, like, because think about the pros. You have your players on their team who and everyone knows, like, oh yeah, I know that they need to be getting paid way more than me.
Yeah.
You know, that's the star. Yeah, that's the star, like rightfully so. I know my role.
Yeah.
What's the difference in college to where players think, oh, it should be equal. I should be getting just as much as her, even though I'm playing 7 minutes a game and averaging 0.7 points and asking for the same thing. Like, talk to me about like why that is the narrative right now within college sports.
Because there's not enough education out there. And we don't have a collective bargaining agreement. So you have a school, a team that may be 2 and 25, okay? They're willing to pay someone $250,000 that I may only be willing to pay $60 because we're not at the same place. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when people throw around market value, it depends on the market you're shopping in. Because my market value, what you are to me, may be different. What you may be to a team that's not going to Sweet 16 every year. And so perspective is important. Absolutely. And people are not giving enough perspective. And people are driving the prices. And it's not NIL, it's the rev share now. And honestly, if we're just keeping it a buck, it's pay for play. Yeah. Because you're getting NIL. There are a small group that's getting NIL. You got people getting money that got 200 followers. That they don't have name, image, and likeness. Yeah. The only name, image, and likeness they have would be the affiliation to the university. No one knows who they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. And so we're almost setting a lot of young people up for failure. Because you know what money looks like. I know what money looks like. So $60K, even $250K, let's just really keep it real. Right. How long is that gonna last? So yeah, you could impact someone and pay someone's bills for that year and stuff. But if you don't invest that, if you don't know how to make that into 2.5 million, you're gonna be broke. Especially when you think you made that money and now your cousin, auntie, uncle, mom, dad, brother, sister want to cut. Go ahead and slice that $250 or that $408 different ways. You see what I'm saying? Like, let's
That's
really
the real.
talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk real stuff. Like, you make money, I make money. You know, I think I'm a millionaire. Yeah. I know that ain't no money. So yeah, it's money temporarily. Right. But if you're really trying to create generational wealth, you don't have time to be giving it away to John and Larry and Susan and Paulette.
That is a super valid point, because the lack of knowledge, the lack of guidance that some of these kids have, to where I've seen, like, I think athletes, some only think that it's just the collective. Yeah. So which is why you see the portal jumping like it is, and because it's just like, okay, I'm going to the school because I want money from the collective from the school. Yeah. But like, for someone like me, I almost take not offense to that, but offense to that, because course. Like, I worked my butt off to build my brand, to make my social media platforms appealing to brands, to show my authentic self, so I can, be myself and be able to align with brands that I align with. And for other kids where it's like, I don't want to work for it. You don't want to work for it, and you don't want to perform on the court. So it's it's like, so you're not, where's the meet in the middle? What has maybe frustrated you, or just conversations that you've had about players, or if you've had it already with your team, about like keeping the main thing, like, you're here for basketball, you're here, like, this is what your livelihood, like, this is where you need to perform, and everything else will come from that. Like, what advice are you giving within that?
Well, we're really trying to be intentional about recruiting people that still love the game. Like, I still love coaching. If I couldn't make any money today, I would still coach. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you could want to be able to make a living for yourself and create opportunities for yourself, but you have to first love it. And so there are a lot of people that don't love it. We try to weed those people out. You know what I mean? Yep. If I say how much, just to know if I could start to converse. Once I know the number, now let's talk. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What are you trying to accomplish? Yep. My meeting next year, my first team meeting used to be about rules and expert. My first team meeting will be a business meeting. Listen, there are Supermax people in here. If you are part of a Supermax, I expect Supermax effort every single day. There are some people that are in the 5%. I expect you to come to work every day because you're being paid.
Treating it like the pros.
Yes, I'm getting ready to, for real, treat this thing like the pros. There are expectations. There will be fines. You don't get to come in and say you're having a bad day, because I have to come to work when I have a bad day.
It's your job.
So now it's your job. And we can't shy away from that as coaches. We have to be transparent. This is no more a one-sided thing. I care for you, Deja. I want you to do well, but you also have an obligation. Two things can be true.
I mean, that was probably like the realest thing I've heard from a coach's, and that's why I have you on, because just hearing it from a coach's perspective, I've been around athletes. I was an athlete, like navigating through it. So
I told like Madison Scott just graduated. She had been with me a long time, so obviously she was well taken care of. And I remember there was a time, like, I don't think she played well, so she didn't want to do the press conference. I said, you don't get to choose that. You're not, you're being paid to show up to the press conference. And so transparency is the only way to go. But a lot of coaches can't do it. So for me, it's easy because I'm authentic anyway. But that's why you're going to see more coaches get out the game. Because they don't even, first of all, they don't even have business minds. They never had to build a brand. So how could they even recognize if you have a brand?
Right.
Let's really keep it a buck. Like, it's a lot of coaches out here that don't have motion.
There we go.
You know, and there's no knock. Because when they got in because it was for one thing, and now it's changed. And so you either pivot, or you evolve, or you die. That's what's getting ready to happen.
What's the biggest advice? I mean, you kind of spoke on it, but the advice to other coaches out there who are so against not wanting to evolve with what's happening right now, because it's not gonna go backwards.
No.
It's only gonna get crazier and go keep moving in that direction. So to other coaches, maybe young coaches or who are just, getting into or trying to figure it out, like, what would be your advice to how they can handle it, how they can navigate it with their players, help in any way that they can?
Yeah, I mean, my advice is you either get with it or you get out. I mean, that's just what it is. And if you can't get with it, get someone on your staff that can get with it. Because that's what keeps some of the more experienced coaches, Don, Gino, Mulkey, like, they got people that do that stuff. They ain't doing that stuff. And that's recognizing oneself. You know what I mean? Like, there's some things I'm really good at, but then I got people that are really good at other things. That's how we become a team. And so I think that has to be the way. And there are many ways to skin a cat, but you can't change this landscape we're in. Some people in trouble.
Absolutely. And it's scary,
Yeah.
but it's also, like, I think on the flip side, we've seen so many positives that have come from it. Of course. Has there been a player that you've coached or that you've seen through social media? Like, what has inspired you or just, you know, has been so admirable from your perspective that you've seen that has happened so far within it? Obviously, financial stability, huge. Being able to provide, building generational wealth, but, like, is there a specific story that you've seen, a specific moment that you've encountered, like within the NIL space that really made you like, this is the perfect thing or platform that could have happened for collegiate athletes?
Yeah, one of the cool things that happened with me this year was past Christmas, Maddie and I both have foundations. And so our foundations linked up. And we had a Christmas event, and we provided Christmas jackets, coach shoes, winter gear for 40 underprivileged kids.
Wow.
And we were able to do that. And that's cool because she started a foundation because she saw that I had one. And so, and then to see her work the Oxford community and go back to the Virgin Islands and do stuff. And I know she was influenced by what she saw in me. That's what it's about. You know. So us linking up and doing that was pretty cool.
That's exactly what it's about. I think in so many ways that you see athletes receive and not give. And it's not talked about enough. But I think you see so many athletes who are, and it's not as talked about as like I was telling you earlier, the money that people see. Oh, she just bought a car. Like that, all of that is great. But like there's also athletes, myself, Madison, Juju, Paige, like they're all giving back in some type of way. And I think that's so important, way more important than basketball, than the NIL, than the money. Like, how can I help others? How can I help people around me? How can I help build the community that has given so much to me? How can I give back in that way?
And it's a beauty in that space. See, that's how you know who knows business and who doesn't. Because even if you're a business person, you know you need to give back. So that's what I'm saying. You know what hurts me, Deja? I hate seeing young people with a bunch of money and no vision, no plan, no support, just balling out of control. They don't even understand taxes. They don't even understand percentages. You know, I see people will enter the portal to get $10,000 more. Well, that ain't really a flex because by the time you pay taxes, you kind of worked out the same.
Right.
You know, where is your like, what do you have in place to be able to take some of the blow from how much you make? You have to invest. So I wish that the NCAA, if they were going to do something, they should mandate a business class for student athletes, not your regular business class, money management. They keep talking about we for the student athlete. If you're for the student athlete and you know that this is going on, then protect them, help them, give them credits from this situation. Let it be a 1 credit course. Let it be an extracurricular course. I'd rather them do that than basket weaving because we ain't broke no more. So let's all get this money and then teach them. You want to give them something back for the points they're scoring, for the notoriety they're giving to your university. They're walking billboards. Educate them. That's what's missing.
Incredible that you said that because it's so important for, again, universities to take a part in this. I think they sometimes they choose when to step in, when to not, when to take a step back. But it's like, you at this point, you have to be all in. It's evolving. Like, we need your support. Athletes need your support from universities. And that, I think having a mandatory business class, money management, financial literacy, I think that's so important because there's more kids than you know, like that just don't know.
You want to create generational wealth for these young people, you have to educate them. Back in the day, they didn't let black people read because they didn't want them to be educated. It's power in education. You know why you move the way you move? Because you got people educating you. You know why I've moved the way I move? Because I've been in spaces with people that make twice as much as me, and I was able to learn. I was able to learn that my little money wasn't no money. My flex wasn't really a flex. There's a larger flex out there. And so who's putting those young people in those spaces? That's why I'm transparent.
You've seen Unrivaled, a new league, which was really successful in their first year, who gave equity to every single player and gave them their respectable salary. But like, how does all of that kind of evolve as a player is going through the stages of, college, then getting to the pros? Like, what's the correlation with NIL, how it provides a platform, social media, NIL obviously correlate. What have you seen that's the biggest change or, again, opportunities that are created from that?
Well, I think the exposure matters. So, and I love the fact that Unrivaled is in that space because now women are saying, okay, thank you for getting us started, but now we know how to do this. So we're getting ready to create our own space. And I see that happening more and more. I think now, more than ever, athletes have to understand how important exposure is. But, like you said, there's good and there's bad to it. For me, you got to be able to manage. I don't read comments, because the same people that are going to say something good may turn around and say something bad. And they don't know me anyway. So I try to stay away from reading comments unless I'm going to positively engage. I think right now, women's basketball is in a space where we are showing that we have value. For the longest, we didn't think that that was the case. I think athletes right now understand their power. And so what does that mean for everybody involved? What it means is young people are being educated. What it means is we have to find the balance of business and mentorship and development. there's space for all of it. It doesn't have to be one-sided, but you can marry the two. I think now that women's basketball is receiving units, I can go into my AD's office and proudly say, we brought money, revenue to the university. When before we didn't have the opportunity to do so.
Right.
So the number, I don't got nothing to do with that. I did my part, though.
Right.
You know, we did our part. And so I think as we continue to get into this space, everybody has to fully take advantage of it, coaches, players, and you almost got to treat it like collectively, like we're all together so that we can move forward.
What we've seen through social media, it obviously has brought way more fans.
Yeah.
The viewership has skyrocketed for both college and in the pros, but specifically within the college space.
Yeah.
What are the negatives? I mean, we see it all the time. You talk about comments and things like that, but what are ways that social media that you've seen that have pinned narratives against each other, that have created false narratives? Like, what are the downsides, and is there any advice that you give to your players about like social media management, how to manage those different things, like the negativity that comes with it? Comments are crazy, but like because it's growing so much, because fan bases are growing so much and are more invested and more tuned in, do you give advice to your players about like what could come of that?
Well, they kind of see how I get treated. So my platform is pretty big, and so I share with them what is being said sometimes to me, and sometimes that intimidates them because they're like, man, if that's the case, I don't want no parts in it. And I do believe that, unfortunately, everybody can't capitalize off of that space. I am a proponent, supporter of mental wellness. I talk to my players about being mentally fit to encounter whatever it is.
It's important.
Yeah. I have a therapist. I believe in that space. I believe also sometimes you have to shut it off. Turn off the comments. That's what I love about social media. I don't got to respond to you. You know, like I made some changes on my staff last year and I got brutally attacked. And social media was like, you must respond. I ain't responding to y'all. I don't have to respond. You know what I'm going to do? We're going to go to the Sweet 16 again. You know, the work is the work, you know? So sometimes you got to let your moves and your actions respond. And that's what I tell my players. You don't have to, these people that are saying this stuff don't have a life. When do we spend time going on people's social media to attack them?
None.
I couldn't even fathom using any of my energy to say something negative about anybody. I'd rather sit it out.
There's no time for it like that.
I'd rather sit it out. Like I don't even have the energy to do it. So those people that do it have the energy because that's the space they're in. You know, I'm not knocking the hater. We need you.
No, we're knocking the haters.
But at the same time, you have to understand that you don't have to respond to everything. That's how you boss up. So managing that space, you know, understanding when to turn the comments off, when not to respond. I got a bunch of stuff in my drafts, when to block. I'm quick to block you then. If you say anything crazy, I'll be like, block. Because why you on my page? You don't get to see what I do
You don't have
anymore.
the privilege.
You don't have the privilege to see what I do. So I share that with my players.
That is exactly the type of advice that players should receive. I mean, it gets crazy. Like, I think what you said about a therapist, like, I think that's so important and really underrated within the sports world. I know for me, for the longest, I was like,
Yeah.
if I go to one.
Me too.
I'm soft.
Yeah,
Like,
me too.
I shouldn't be in a bad mental space. Like I have to be able to perform. I have to be right. Like so I'll figure it out myself. And I think for me, I outreached and finally saw one, and it was a game changer for me.
For me
like,
too.
Yeah.
For me too. And I'm getting ready to write a book, 3 series, and one will be the coaches. And it's something I'm going to talk about because I've been able to evolve so much because of my therapist. So shout out to my therapist.
Shout out to mine too. Yeah, like it's a game changer.
Yeah.
And again, mental health is so important, especially with the space that social
Yeah.
media is in, and with the platforms that
Yeah.
us players are put on, and the spotlight that we're always in. Like it could be tough. So
Yeah.
I think definitely reaching out when needed, talking to
Yes.
coaches.
Yes.
Like that's all super important, and it's super beneficial down the line, because if your mind is not sharp, like you're not going to perform well anywhere else,
Yeah.
in the court, in the classroom, in the business side, in meetings, like all of that. So being able to keep that sharp, and being able to have a coach like openly just be like, I do.
They
it
know.
helps me.
Yeah.
Like I think that inspires your athletes to be able to be like, oh, she's doing it, and she's using that to stay mentally sharp. Like that's that's a resource that I should be taking advantage of. So. You said we've talked about it all. We've talked about it all throughout this whole thing. We got some great pieces, some nuggets from you. Last question.
Okay.
What is your NILOSOPHY?
You know, I think the base of my philosophy is authenticity. First, I'm not always right. I get it wrong a lot, but my heart is pure. And I think that if my student athletes understand how important grace is to ask for and to give, it allows us to get in a space that works for everybody. My philosophy is no ceilings. I trademarked this because I really believe in it. It's not cliche. It's not something I just put up on the walls. I truly believe that there are no limits to what women want to achieve in life, as long as they surround themselves with people that can help them get there and that are on the same page. So that's my philosophy. There are no ceilings to getting this money.
Hey. Powerful, very well said,
sure.
well spoken. Thank you so much,
Thank
Coach
you.
Yo, for coming on.
I don't do this, but this is my girl. So.
Hey, this is congrats on all your success. I love what you've done with your program. Much success to you.
Thank you.
Best wishes to you. But this was a pleasure.
Sure.
Great
and
combo.
If you know of any recruits.
See, portal is portaling, y'all.
If you know, because you know people. You need to be like, hey, man.
I know some people.
You need to listen. You need to hear Coach Yo out.
You know, a GM?
Yeah. You see that?
Hey, no, but seriously, thank you so much. This is great.